Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Spring 2015 completion ceremony and final presentations for the Holocaust Internship Program. It's really a privilege and a treat to be able to begin this event and to provide a forum to show you all the profound and beautiful connection that our Queensborough students are able to generate and maintain with a survivor that they've met really in most cases just once so far, through having a whole semester of 12 meetings and then having one profound meeting with a survivor. It's one of the real high points in the year of the work we do here at the Kupferberg Holocaust Resource Center and Archives, because it really brings to a head everything that we hope to accomplish, which is to teach the next generation about the horrors of the Holocaust, but also about the resilience of its survivors, about the dark side of human nature, and about the glowing, enlivening side of human being. So I thank you all for coming, and I think you'll be as moved as I am by some of the stories you'll hear today. There are a couple people I would like to acknowledge. I'd like to thank Cheryl and Stephen Levine, who are longtime supporters of the Holocaust Resource Center and Archives, and who have, for the last several years, sponsored one intern in the Student Holocaust Internship Program. And we will hear from Marisa, this year's Cheryl and Stephen Levine intern, right at the top of our program. I'd also like to acknowledge Assemblyman Ed Braunstein, who just walked in and quickly disappeared in the crowd. I'll invite him up in a moment to say a few words. We appreciate all the support you've given us over many years and for coming and showing support for our students and our survivors in this way. It's truly a blessing that we have such support in our elected officials. We have one other internship, special internship, a sponsored intern, a gift that has allowed us to cover this stipend for one of our interns, and that is in the name of Joanne Blumen. And Marlene Blumen gave the gift. She's Joanne's sister, in honor of Joanne, and she gave it to us because Joanne worked here at QCC for 27 years. Her last position was in the Office of Instructional Support Services as an admissions counselor. And when she passed away, her sister gave this very meaningful gift that allows us to admit one more and support one more student in this internship program. So for both of those named internships, we're very, very humbled and honored and excited to be able to bring in more students into this program. So we thank you for that generosity. At this point, I'd like to invite up Assemblyman Ed Braunstein to say a few words.
Excuse me one second, just get this. I'm just going to take this
All
out.
right.
Thank you very much, Dan. We in this community care deeply about the Holocaust Resource Center. And for years, it was headed by Arthur Fluke, who did a tremendous job. And you have tremendous shoes to fill. But I could already tell you have the same passion, the same dedication. And we're very confident that the Holocaust Center is going to continue to be influential in our community. I want to first thank all the survivors for continuing to help this program. I know it's not easy sometimes to relive the horrible memories of the past, but as you know, it's critical that our young people understand exactly what had happened. So people can't deny that it happened. And so future generations in this world can know the evil that mankind is capable of. And by telling younger generations and making sure that people don't deny that the Holocaust took place and acknowledging the horrors that happened, we can prevent tragedies like that from happening in the future. So I also want to thank the interns for choosing to take this course and taking it on with vigor. We really appreciate that you took this undertaking, and we're confident that you're going to tell future generations about what you learned here from these survivors. So once again, I want to thank everybody, and we couldn't be prouder to have the Resource Center in this area, and you could count on having support from all of our elected officials moving forward. We do have citations, I know. We'll just leave them with you, and okay. So once again, it's an honor, and I'm going to hang out and see some of the presentations because I'm always curious to hear the students' thoughts. Thank you very much.
Let me pick up on something that Assemblyman Braunstein said, and let me just take a moment to tell you how wonderful these students are. Now, first of all, how many students, how many young people see a course offering the opportunity to study one of history's most gruesome and horrific moments, and to meet some of the victims and survivors, people who have persevered in their lives afterwards in order to hear about their experiences? How many students would rush to sign up for that? We do have a group here. That's what I'm getting to. Not everyone, these students did. Now, not only that, this course offers them no credit. This campus has a lot of students, and most of our students, who have lots of other responsibilities in their lives besides their course of study. They have jobs, they have siblings, they have family members they take care of, they work, and they have full, rich lives. And these students took that extra hour each week to be in class and the extra hours of thinking and researching and devoting their energies to this topic. These students sought out that kind of an experience, and that is remarkable. And I want to take a moment for us all to recognize and acknowledge their efforts. Of course, the survivors who have supported the center from its beginning and who continue to be shining examples to us all about moving forward one day at a time, that no tragedy is so horrible that there is no life afterwards. And to remind us that what happens to us, however tragic, makes us who we are today. And there's nothing to run from, nothing to hide from in our past, but simply to accept it, embrace it, and learn the lessons, whatever there are, and to share them with others. And so please join me for a moment to thank our wonderful survivors for taking their time to work with these students. You can clap for yourself. You're clapping for each other. Yes, of course.
That's what I said.
I know. You were right. One more time. And my final preliminary thank you is to Marisa Berman, who I guess I don't need to say anything else. You already know. You're already clapping. She is the instructor for this internship program. And as the students will tell you, she devotes herself to this program. Her preparation, her mind is always working about how to enrich the program, how to bring more to the students, and how to get more out of the students, which is the mark of a great teacher. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Marisa Berman, the Assistant Director of the Center.
Thank you very much. That's all lined up. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here to celebrate the students in the Spring 2015 Holocaust Internship Program here at the Kupferberg Holocaust Center. I was blessed to have a group of 9 amazing students this semester, and they've worked really hard to learn about the Holocaust and the Jewish experience in Europe during World War II. So first, I want to thank the past executive director, Dr. Arthur Flug, who asked me to run this internship back in spring of 2013. And it's really been a very wonderful experience for me. So as we know, Dr. Flug officially retired as of December 31st, and we were very sad to see him go. But I'm very grateful for the time that I spent with him. And today I have the opportunity to now work with Dr. Dan Lesham. And Dr. Lesham has brought a totally new perspective to the vital work that we do here at the center. So thank you, Dr. Lesham, for the work you've already done in this short time. And all the work I know that you will do in the future. And again, I want to thank the survivors who took time out of their busy schedules to share their stories, and for those that could be here with us today. A handful of survivors couldn't come today, but I know that they're here with us in spirit. I'd also like to thank Rosemary Zins, the Vice President for Institutional Advancement here at the college, and of course, Queensborough Community College President, Dr. Diane Call, for her support of this and all of our programs here, and for bringing me on as Assistant Director in 2012. It's been a privilege to work here at Queensborough and to learn about the Holocaust and to have the opportunity to teach others about it as well. The Holocaust is not an easy subject to learn about. It weighs heavily on the soul, and these students struggled trying to understand the atrocities that took place during this time period, and I witnessed their pain that came from really studying it at an advanced level. However, I was reminded of something that Dr. Flug said to me when I first was hired, and he said, "Let me know if you aren't having fun, because then we're doing something wrong." What a strange idea to be having fun at a Holocaust Center, but he was right. We need to laugh. We are alive, and all that we learn here at the center should remind us of how lucky we are to live. And we all have our own stories. We have all seen tragedy. I'm constantly amazed by the students that I work with here at this college and the challenges that they face. Many of them have lived through atrocity, hunger, war, hate, and they're survivors too. I hope that, if nothing else, the students leave this center, this memorial to the Holocaust and other human rights violations, with a newfound appreciation for their lives. I'm really proud of what these students accomplished, and I'm really excited to hear them talk about their experience. So again, just to recap on what the program is, students were accepted into this very competitive program, and they met with me for about an hour a week for 12 weeks for an intensive study of the Holocaust. And the program culminated with the students being assigned a Holocaust survivor to interview one-on-one. In today's presentations, the students will share the stories of the Holocaust survivors and then reflect on their experience. And we're going to kick off the day in a special way. The first two students are recipients of honorary internships, so we're going to start with Melissa. I'll give you a little background before I invite her up. So this semester's Cheryl and Stephen Levine Holocaust intern is Miss Melissa Reinhardt. And Melissa's studying liberal arts with a focus in education. This year she served as a QCC Barnes & Noble Student Impact Member. And the thing that she wrote in her application that really captured my attention was her reason for applying. And she wrote, quote, "I believe that a lot of people would rather stay uneducated and ignorant than to gain basic knowledge and in turn become compassionate. I am not one of those people. I am a learner and a nurturer. I want to be a part of this internship so I can learn and gain a strong understanding of the Holocaust and be able to potentially help the local survivors heal and become a better person myself." So, yes, beautiful. Melissa interviewed survivor ELENA BERKOVITS. So let's see what she learned, if you two want to come up.
Before anything, may I have a pillow here? No, not. I have to laugh, just what he said. I'm sorry.
She is the cutest person I've ever met.
She didn't met a lot of persons.
I did too.
Oh, okay.
So first off, I want to thank the Kupferberg Holocaust Center and Archives and Marisa for not only opening my eyes, but also deepening my heart. This internship was the most, I don't know why I'm crying. This internship was the most influential thing that I have ever been a part of, and I am eternally grateful for this opportunity. Not only did I get to dig deeper into the Holocaust, but I got to get to know and talk to a Holocaust survivor. My survivor's name is ELENA BERKOVITS, and I do not think there are enough positive adjectives to describe her. She is a lovely person inside and out, and from being to a ghetto, to Auschwitz, to coming back home, there is still no hate in her heart. She is lively and she still gets involved, which is very important. While she is 87, she does not look a day over 65. She volunteers here every Monday and she looks forward to it. She calls this place her second home. ELENA went on to tell me her story, and some parts are solely miracles. She was born in Transylvania, which was owned by Hungary, and when she was 16, her and her parents were told by Nazi soldiers to get out of her apartment. With only the clothes on her back, she was forced into ghetto wagons and was taken to a ghetto. This ghetto was originally a brick factory, and you guessed it, the food was minimal and the sleeping was horrible. She was there for 2 weeks. May 5th, 1944, she was then put in ghetto wagons again to a train station. These wagons were only able to hold 80 people, but 100 people plus were forced into them. So forget about the crippled babies or pregnant people, you had to stand. And every day, Nazi soldiers would take young girls, and these girls were never seen again. ELENA being beautiful, and only 16, her father, I don't know why, but he had a pocket knife in his pants, and he cut off her beautiful blonde curls. This fast thinking saved her life. She wasn't taken from the wagon, but soon the wagon did reach its destination, Auschwitz. First thing after getting off the wagon was the separation of the men, the women, and the children. And this was the last time that ELENA saw her father because he died 2 weeks before liberation. And then came the famous selection led by Dr. Mengele, who is also named the Angel of Death. If he pointed you left, you were soon to be dead. And if he pointed you right, you lived a little longer. Her mother was very worried about being separated, as any mother would be, but they were lucky and they both got pointed right. No one knew what the crematorium or the gas chambers were, but of course they found out very quickly. The shower room was huge with very little water, and they were also shaved head to toe. She couldn't help but laugh at her mother when she saw her with no hair because she couldn't barely recognize her. ELENA belonged to Camp C, and she recalls people becoming animals. The longer you were there, the less human you became. There was no heat in the barracks. You were surrounded by an electric fence. There was no food, and you were separated by your family. People felt like animals. Out of 30,000 people, only about 12,000 were left. The men were used as workers, so they transported bodies, and they often saw familiar faces. The food was obviously terrible. There was 1 bowl of soup for 5 people, so forget it if you were 4th or 5th in the line. And you thought you were getting a slice of bread, you got bread crumbs. The brown side was in the soup to stop women from getting their periods, but you couldn't even go to the bathroom more than once a day. ELENA soon got ill, and she could not move a muscle. When the master came to count the people in the barrack, her mother tried to hold her up as best as she could, but it was evident that she was sick. So the master told her, get on your knees, hold these 2 bricks in the air before counting is done, and then you can let them go. By the grace of God, all the adrenaline in her body and the strength she had left, she was able to hold the bricks up, and then it saved her life once again. Every 2 to 3 weeks, Dr. Mengele came back to each barrack, and to avoid seeing him again, ELENA and her mother ran from barrack to barrack. But soon they ran out of barracks, and they were forced to see him again. This time, ELENA didn't get so lucky. She was pointed left, and her mother was pointed right. The screams of people getting separated by loved ones and knowing their fate was unbearable. The only thing separating the 2 lines was a barricade made of SS soldiers holding hands. With nothing to lose and the night sky on her side, ELENA inched her way towards the back of the barricade and swept under the SS soldiers holding hands. With the courage and strength she had left, she saved her life once again. ELENA and the others were then transported to Germany to work in a factory because they had Russians coming on one side and the Americans on the other side. They had to get people out. The living conditions did improve slightly. They had a blanket and maybe a little bit more substance in the food, but there was nothing like they deserved. They shared the factory with French prisoners of war and they worked on machines. But May 8th, 1945, she was liberated in the factory by Russians. ELENA and her mother made it out of Auschwitz alive and together. They decided to go back home, which was now Romania, to see if anyone else survived, and no one did. Her mother did get remarried, and ELENA found love as well. ELENA has one daughter, much like her own mother, and her and her family moved to the United States in 1967. Her daughter was 18, and she actually chose to go to college at a local CUNY, Hunter. She went on to have 2 sons, and now ELENA is part of her great-grandchildren's lives, Avery and Foster, who she adores. This was the most surreal and life-changing experience I've ever experienced, and I cannot shake ELENA's story from me. But this is a wonderful thing, because the day I came home from ELENA, I told at least 4 other people, including my mother, what she had told me. And if these 4 people tell 4 people, and so on, she gets to live on. The day after I told my mother, she calls me, she's like, oh, I'm at work and I told all my coworkers and everyone's crying and I can't believe it. But that's good, because if the coworkers tell their family and friends, then it's even more people are impacted. Because people need to be inspired by true heroes. And ELENA, now and forever, will be my hero. She made me feel good about myself after we spoke, and and if that isn't magical, I really don't know what is. I cannot tell you how grateful I am that Marisa picked you as my survivor, because the fact that I got to sit and hug and talk to a survivor of Auschwitz for 3 hours, we were together for like 3.5 hours. 3 hours is just mind-blowing, and I can't shake it. She still volunteers here, and she started volunteering here in 2009. And she still goes to high schools and she lectures at other places, telling hundreds more her story and how wonderful she is despite her past. I do not think at all that my words will do justice for what my heart feels. But I can tell you this, that this will not be the last place that ELENA's story will be told. And I highly doubt I will ever live my life the same way after this event. So I want to thank you all, but I especially want to thank you, ELENA, from the bottom of my heart.
Yes. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. First, I'm sorry, I don't know if I heard correct, you know. I wasn't liberated, no, that's okay. I wasn't liberated when I was in the factory in Heineken, because over there came from the other side, from west, the American and the English front. And they took us from there another week. They didn't know where to go because the front came, that was already end of April, and the train went and came back. When they want to make some food, the bombard came. So this went the whole week, and finally the result was that they took us to Theresienstadt. Teresina, which is only 20 miles from Prague, from former Czechoslovakia. And when we got there, it was Passover. I won't forget ever, because that was already a ghetto for years and years. And then in the meantime, they got more and more Häftling, prisoners like us. And they were standing both sides of the entrance with matzah in the hand after a year. And we went by, and of course, Gim. My mother didn't let me eat because she knew that if I start to eat, maybe a few days later I am not going to be. So this, I just want to, yeah. And just a few words that I am extremely, extremely happy that I got this girl. I hope, no good. I am sure that I am not going to be here. I'm going to be at Don't Forget and I watch. That she is going to tell the students or wherever she's going to be about what I heard. And she is going to start. I am not Melissa, I am ELENA BERKOVITS. Well, I am proud. Thank you. Oh.
Thank you, guys. All right, hard to keep going after that, right? Okay, so for our next internship, this was also a special one, and I actually didn't say anything to this student. This semester's Joanne Blumen's student intern is Miss Janella Cintron. I didn't tell her this, but I want to make her this honorary intern. And what can I say about Janella? She is full of life, and I think that all of us that participated in this can agree that she made us laugh a lot, right? Yeah. Definitely. Janella is studying criminal justice here at QCC, and she also served in some of our other internship programs, right? In our Understanding Hate Crimes and Asian Social, no? Okay. Just Understanding Hate Crimes in our community. And she wanted to participate in this internship because, and this is a quote from her application, like many, I would love the opportunity to experience something that has impacted the lives of many and take it to change my own life. Now, of course, all of our interns take this internship very seriously, and they send their resumes and cover letters when they apply. But my favorite part of Janella's application was she sent multiple letters of reference along with her materials. She looked at this like it was a real job, and I really appreciated that because it is very serious and important to me. And the thing that Janella didn't mention in her application, though, was how passionate she is about learning about the Holocaust. Not only did she read all of the books and the articles that I gave out to all the students, she also started requesting additional books and then would do reports on them for me that I didn't ask for. So she's very dedicated intern. And Janella's interviewed survivor ANITA WEISBORD, and I just want to say, we're so grateful that all of our survivors came, but ANITA had tickets to the Philharmonic, and today was the last day of the season, and she gave it up so she could come in and be here today. So thank you for that. And we invite you both up. Come on up.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It was an honor to me, ANITA, honestly, because I'm a mother and I have 2 kids. So her story has changed me in ways I didn't know how. She was born in Austria, Vienna, on March 1st, 1923. Her father owned a knitting company, so she grew up in a loving home, wonderful family. But all that changed within 24 hours. Where the regulations against the Jews were being placed. And that's when her story gets serious. Her mother and her aunt were sitting on the table talking about what to do with their kids. And her aunt, in a way, she kept her kids to herself and not knowing what's going to happen to them. But her mom took her and she put her on a train. Me being a mother, I don't know if I could ever put my kids on a train and leave their life and their destiny on a train. And it actually saved her. She's with us today, and I'm really grateful. And she remembers sitting down, like looking at her mother out the window, and like her mom was so far yet so close, and that has affected her to this day. She can't bear nobody see her off. She was then in the kinder transport, which was it was like a rescue effort, held by the British. It was where like kids from Germany and other parts of Europe were being sent to Britain for safety. Her sister also, even like, it's like all her family took a different route in the Holocaust. Her sister became a maid, her father was in a camp, and her brother became a soldier and actually fought in Germany to liberate others. And even though they all lived different part of the Holocaust, they all had different stories. They were all united by it. She did have her struggles. She did new language, new food, her surroundings, but she did become a stronger person. And she actually said that she was born twice, the day she came out of her mother's womb and the day her mom placed her on that train. What most shocked me about her was, and all the survivors of the Holocaust, is that they always say that even though they went through all this hardships throughout the Holocaust, they don't feel like the world owned them. They feel like, in a way, they own the world because they're still here today. And that actually, like, when I came in that day for the interview, I was just listening to her story. And I never knew I was going to come out a different person. When I got home, the first thing I did was hug my kids, tell them how much I love them. And I was actually telling her, I was like, I don't know, maybe I will be that aunt. I'll be your aunt, the one that I kept my kids for me. I want to put my kids on the train. But she was like, I can't say that because I was not there. And I'm sure that if I was there, maybe I would take a different thing. In this internship, 3 things I learned was appreciation, strength, and anything is possible. I never knew that coming through these doors, I was gonna leave a different person. Never knew. And I never knew I'll be changed. Like, I always talk to my siblings and family members that I wanna change myself, I wanna change my life, but I never knew it would be to somebody from the Holocaust. And thank you. Your story has changed me a lot, and I'm sure it's gonna make me a better mother tomorrow. That was my story.
Well, as I told her, we are trying to tell the story of the Holocaust to show where hate can lead to. And it's so important to remember it because you're the next generation, and it's up to them to see it should never happen again. And you love your kids and hug them, and it is so important to tell the story that it should never happen again. And what I usually say when I speak to school children, that they should not be bystanders, they should be upstanders. Because if there would have been more upstanders at that time, it might not have happened. So whenever you see anything happen, don't be silent, speak up. And this way, maybe one of these days the world will learn to live in peace together.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. Just gonna wait for her to cut across. Okay. Great. Okay. So the next intern we're going to hear from is Midge. Midge is studying liberal arts here at QCC, and she plans to become a nurse. She's a member of C-STEP, which is the Collegiate Science and Technology Entry Program. And I think that she came to this internship with kind of a psychology focus, whether or not she realized it, because in her application she mentioned, quote, that she wanted to learn about the impact and the effects of the Holocaust on society and individuals, and to learn about how survivors deal with what was going on. But the thing in her application that I appreciated the most was that she wrote the internship would be a great opportunity to understand how we can prevent a tragic event like the Holocaust from happening again in our own time. Midge interviewed survivor Jane Keibel, and Jane was unable to attend today because she's in Vermont visiting her son and her grandchildren. So Midge will come up on her own.
Hello, everyone. I'm really nervous, so if I speak too fast, I'm sorry. So I had the pleasure of speaking to Miss Jane. She made me realize how that different things that we go on with our life, we make it seem like it's a big deal, but compared to the constant change that she went through, it's almost kind of not in comparison, if that makes sense. So Miss Jane grew up in a well-off family. Her father owned a department store where they were pretty well off. It had many stores and whatnot, and she lived a good childhood. That was until Hitler was starting to come into power. And she noticed small gradual changes that were going on in her life. Like, she wasn't able to go to the pool or even sit on a bench or hang out with her friends. Like, she had to go to the gym from everywhere else during school just to hang out with her friends. And she wasn't allowed to have friends from other denominations like Christians. And she just kept noticing these changes, and also her family did. And after that, she told me about the night of the broken glass, which was when the German army basically just smashed all Jewish businesses, like hospitals, schools, and even her father's department store may have gotten in trouble. But he still, after that happened, he still opened it to support the family. After that, it was decided that her family would decide to go to Cuba. It was between China or Cuba, she told me, and they decided Cuba because it was closer to America. So they got 4 visas. They had to leave all their belongings because they weren't permitted to keep anything, and they decided to go on the SS St. Louis, leaving everything behind. After 7 days on voyage with her family, she reached Cuba, and her family was denied entry to Cuba because they had to pay more money to get inside the country, which absolutely made no sense because they were refugees. They abandoned everything to come to escape what was going on in their own homeland, but they were denied entry. So they were at sea for at least a month with so much uncertainty. They didn't know what was going to happen. People were also considering suicide. And it was thanks to this captain Jane told me about. She had a strong, I wish I can remember his name, but
Captain Sweet.
yes, thank you so much. Thank you. It was him who held everything together. She had such a great opinion of him. He even tried to aid negotiations with Cuba. They even tried to send telegrams to US and Canada, but there was no response, and I don't know how Jane dealt with that. I really don't, because I think in our life we always have a plan. We're always certain what we're gonna do, what's next, And those people who were on the ship, they didn't know what the next step was. So you can imagine. So thanks to the efforts, she didn't tell me about this, but I kind of like looked it up myself. Like I found out it was through the efforts of the JCS, which is a nonprofit organization for the Jewish community, that through their efforts they were able to get negotiations with Belgium, Britain, France, Holland. Were able to get at least 1/4 of those refugees on the ship. And thank God it was Jane's family. And her father didn't choose any country. He led it to chance, and they decided to go to, by chance, France. And from there, Jane was separated from her parents. Her parents lived on with 3 other couples, and she went to a foster home. And there she kind of discovered herself, she told me. Like, she wasn't under her parents' strict upbringing, so she was able to take it ease and find out what she liked and disliked. She learned sewing, French, all that. And that was when World War II commenced, and her father found, through his means, her father immediately, he didn't like the fact that they were separated. So they found means to finally get to America by boat again. And from there, Jane and her family finally finally resided in Kew Gardens, and there she was able to raise a family of her own. The opportunity of meeting Jane was absolutely an honor, like everyone said, because we don't always get the opportunity to meet people who survived catastrophes such as the Holocaust. So I'm grateful. I'm honestly grateful. And she taught me how, like, even though I'm uncertain of something or I'm afraid, I still should go at it head on with a good attitude and vigor, and also appreciate my family. Because one thing I noticed from this story was that Jane's family, and especially her father, he was thinking of his like family constantly. Like, he was like first trying to, I also didn't mention this, during the night of the broken glass, because her father was very well known among the community and well liked, he was able to escape the summons from the German army, and he was able to escape. And then the soldiers went inside the house looking for him, and they didn't do anything to her mother, her sister, or herself because of her father. So I just think that this taught me that family is very important, and we should all face things head on. And it was absolutely an honor, and thank you all.
Stay for 1 second. Yeah. So Jane was really upset that she couldn't come. So she actually wrote you a letter on the plane to Vermont, and she emailed it to me. Okay. She said, "Dear Midge, I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you today. I'm sure everything will work out all right. I was very glad to meet you and share my experiences with you. I felt that sometimes you felt the same pain that I felt. I wish you a lot of luck, and I'm sure you will make a very good nurse. Best of luck, Jane." So I'm going to call up, our next intern will be CRISTINA. CRISTINA is studying liberal arts, and she wants to eventually begin a career in international relations. She plans to transfer to Hunter College to study this, and she, to that effect, speaks French and Spanish. She's a member of ASAP, which is an accelerated program here at the college. CRISTINA expressed in her application how she had been incredibly interested in the history of World War II since she took a class in 9th grade. And it was this class that led to her interest in an international relations career. She wrote, "As a result of World War II, the United Nations was created, and it was amazing to see how different countries with different cultural traditions, economics, and politics are able to work together and maintain some sort of balance in this world. And upon graduating, my main goal is to seek an internship in the United Nations. So CRISTINA interviewed survivor Steve Berger, who also was unable to be here today, so she's going to come up and tell us his story.
So first of all, thanks all of you for taking the time of being here. My name is CRISTINA UTRERAS, and I just graduated from Queensboro like 2 weeks ago. That's better? Yeah. Yes, okay. And Steven Berger was the survivor I had the honor to interview. Before I start telling you about his story and my experience in this internship, I will just like to briefly tell all of you why I decided to take it. Like Marisa said, I became very interested in history. And at the beginning, it was just about learning dates, battles, names. But when I got to the Holocaust, it was just a totally different experience to me. After that day in class, I just went home and I typed the Holocaust in Google Images. And I was just horrified by everything I saw. But I didn't let that stop me of learning. I decided to just keep educating myself about it. About the United Nations and everything that related to them. In this internship, I wanted to gain more knowledge about the Holocaust itself, but my main objective was to really understand how something like that could have happened, how it was, and how it affected everyone who went through. Well, I didn't find my answer, and I don't think I will never do, because no matter how many books I read, no matter how many documentaries I watch, or how many stories I hear, I will never be able to understand that or understand how people went through that. And the most amazing thing to me is how they're now here. They moved on and they're a very successful person. Steven was born in Hungary in 1927. Hungary, since it was an ally of Germany since the beginning of the war, didn't experience a murder until 1944 when they occupied Hungary. Steven told me that he had no idea what a concentration camp was. He didn't know what was going on with the Jews in Europe. He was 16 when they came. They took his father away to a labor service. He was lucky enough to stay with his mother and his 12-year-old sister. They were taken into a ghetto where they spent, he said, 4 or 5 weeks there. And then they were transported to a concentration camp around Vienna. 3.5 days that he spent there in a cattle van where he was transported there's just not words to describe that. There was no food, there was no water, they had to stand there, people were committing suicide. He said the smell was unbearable, the experience was just horrible. Then he was taken into a labor camp in Vienna where he stayed for around a year. He said that somehow luck was always with him, and now he's able to tell our story. He was liberated in April 1945. There was no commanders there, and he told his mom and his sister, we gotta get out of here before they come back. Has to take a lot of courage, determination, and willingness to do that, because I would be very scared. I wouldn't just not know what to do. He said you never know what you're capable of until something like that happens to you. He was able to escape to a building that it was near them, and then Russian officers came and he was liberated. This is important, and I think Steven and I will agree that history is so important because it keeps repeating itself. It may be different names or places, but it keeps repeating. So to understand how our society is now, we need to take a look back to everything that has happened before. This has provided me with an amazing experience to value my life. We are all so grateful to be here, to have a roof on top of our heads, to have food every day. And sometimes we complain about just the smallest stuff, and it's not worth it. Steven is so happy, so full of life, that makes me think about mine. What have I done? That's why I decided to start my career in international relations, because I believe I can make a change. Somebody once told me, you cannot pretend to change the world by yourself, and I don't pretend to change the world by myself. But I think that if every one of us do our own small part, we don't need to go to Africa to volunteer or donate big amounts of money to organizations. But help someone with their groceries. Open the door to someone. If you have a day off, volunteer in your local school or in a local center around your house. We don't have to wait until something like the Holocaust happens again to become conscious, to respect and care for others. Because I think that's what we lack, respect for others. It's not your Jewish, your Christian, or nationalities or race. We are all human beings and we all deserve respect in the same way. I am really happy for the opportunity because I feel that just educating ourselves in internships like this and the college itself is what's going to prepare us for the future. Like everybody said, when we hear the story, we share it with our families, and our families will share it with someone else. And Stephen's bigger concern was that when he's not able to tell his story longer, what will happen? So now, not just the interns, but every one of you who's here have a compromise, have an obligation to make sure this doesn't end here. This keeps continuing. Everybody needs to know what happened. Everybody needs to know what could happen. And everybody has a commitment, a compromise with the world that we live in to make sure that doesn't happen, to make sure everybody learns about it. And if you're upset with a family member or a friend or something, after this, go, call them, hug them, because you have the opportunity now. Let's not wait until we don't have them no more. You have grudges, resentment, let those go too. Life is so beautiful that we need to be grateful and just make sure nothing hurts us no more. So that's my message with you. Take this forever, never forget it, make sure everybody knows, and never forget that we all have an obligation and a compromise with our world, with Stephen and with all the survivors to make sure this doesn't end here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So the next two interns came to this program from a little bit of an unusual route. Usually students hear about our internships from their peers or from professors that incorporate the Holocaust or other aspects of human rights history into their curriculums. But Ela and Noel came to the center because of Professor Liz DiGiorgio, and she's in the Queensborough Department of Art and Design. And Professor DiGiorgio was a participating faculty member in this year's KHRCA's Colloquia Testimony Across the Disciplines, Cultural and Artistic Responses to Genocide that was made possible through our National Endowments for the Humanities Challenge Grant. So aside from being active participants in this internship program and interviewing their survivors, both Ela and Noel spent the semester and their spring break creating artwork that to them helped represent the lives of Holocaust survivors. Their pieces were meant to help us explore the possibilities that visual arts can offer for learning and understanding and empathizing with the experience of survivors. The artwork that they produced was actually on display here all of last semester in our rotating gallery. So first we're gonna hear from Ela. Ela is passionate about art and has been drawing since the age of 10. She's particularly interested in graphic design, and she participated in this program because she wanted to gain more knowledge about the Holocaust, and she wanted to use her artistic skills to contribute to the work of our center. She interviewed survivor Ethel Katz, who also has expressed herself through artwork. So I invite you to come up.
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to thank Professor DiGiorgio for offering me such an amazing internship, and I really appreciate all the help that you put into. Thank you. Also, I would like to thank Marisa, Marisa, I had a great time in your class, and I've learned a lot. And all the goodies that you always brought in, they were amazing, really, yeah. Okay. So during this internship, I've gained a lot of knowledge about the Holocaust and a new experience meeting this amazing person, Ethel Katz. It was a great honor for me to meet her. Ethel Katz is a wonderful woman, and her story is amazing. She was born in Buchach on July 3rd, 1922. Buchach was named Ukraine when Russia took over the whole area that the Nazi Germany had occupied. Katz had a family of 7 members. Her older sister, Brownia, her twin brother, Katz and she also had a twin brother. His name was Mania, and another set of twin brothers, which is crazy, Mulis and Rumak. Her dad, Anshel, I'm saying it right. Okay. He was a well-known person in his community. He helped a lot of people with a lot of things, and they call him a good master. Her mom passed away before Hitler came into power. So life for Ethel Katz and her family changed dramatically when Hitler came to power, going from a happy life in Buchach, Poland, to a war-spent in hiding with the loss of all of her relatives. It was a horrific time when Buchach was invaded by the Nazi Germany in 1941. It was all going fine until the Nazi took over her city. Soon the Jews were being forced to wear armbands, and they were not allowed to be in many places. Like, they were restricted from schools, their homes were taken over, they were forced to resign from jobs, their stores were being closed down, they were not allowed to go to restaurants, and if they were allowed in, they had to sit on floors. Also, they were given a curfew and were assigned jobs to do. Katz and her family had to face all of these tortures, and these were the regulations that was made by Hitler. Before all these had happened, when the Jews were living their good life, the first Russian came to her city. Katz said that this is her quote, that although conditions were bad, we're at least not being killed. But unfortunately, it all started happening soon, and the Germans came to the city on July 5th, 1941, and took control of the Jews. And her twin brother, one day he came home from work, and the Nazi, Hitler, he made an order. He made an order that men between ages of 18 and 50, they had to go register for before 6 p.m. So the day this order was made, his brother came home, and he told his family that he'll be home in an hour, but he never made it back home. He was just that was the last day they ever saw him. So soon they had to leave their home, escape, and hide in many different places. The one thing that we have in common, that she's a painter and I paint too. She draws, I draw. I'm going to show you some of her drawings. This is their first hiding place, the chicken coop. Higher? Sure, I'll just stand up.
Thank you. Oh, the picture.
Sure.
One of the
So, the chicken coop.
The chicken coop.
They were there for 3 months, hiding. And in 1943, their second hiding place. This is
Grainfields, yeah.
a corn, stacks of corn from on
People
October
coming from
1942. Yes. Okay. Another hiding place called the
Shack in the
shacks.
field. This is a dilapidated, empty house.
Yes, the
filled
empty
with
house.
straw. People hiding there for 4
From
months.
from in the middle of in their village, in the middle of their village, and this is
Grain fields.
Grainfield. And
last house.
The last house they were hiding, and
That's where people murdered the
Yes.
family.
and she lost all her family members, and she ran, and she just went back to her hometown.
4 months behind a fake wall, and the house was filled with German soldiers for 4 months.
This is how she was actually hiding. This is the position she was, yeah, it's really upsetting. She was there for about 4 months without water, nothing. Like she just had a little bit of water and some bread and nothing. That was it. Well, this really caught my attention because she had nobody. It was just her by herself. No one, nobody there. From Ethel's story, I've learned that this type of incidents is still happening all around the world. And there's one thing that I got to remember is that to be strong and never always believe in yourself, that what you're doing is right, and always put your head up for anything that you feel like is something wrong. It's not right. Always try to put your head up for anything. Don't be scared to say something. Always don't let it doubt yourself. Always just believe in yourself. Athelcat's story is very amazing. I will never forget about her and what had happened to her family. I will share this with my family, my kids, my friends, and everyone. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You really listened very carefully. You were very moved. You remember you scribbled every detail what I said. That's very important to me, very important that the world knows how low the human beings lost their humanity, to what level they lost their humanity. Well, the world must know, and we must work to eliminate that hatred, because we must work and remember that it should never happen again. This never should happen again. We must we go on. We must work for a better world. All we have to do to eliminate the hatred, we must respect our neighbors, nationality, religion, language, culture. Then we could live in peace
in harmony again.
So this painting presents the Holocaust, and I felt really great after I had this painting done. It took me about a week, and I felt really great. I've never done anything like this before, never. Was my first painting. It's just amazing. I love it. I love it.
Shows everything you are feeling. Flowers. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So Noel Madeira Jr. is our second art student intern. Oh, that's right. Do you want to? Okay. Before we do that, I want to take a moment to thank another very special guest, another elected official that has been so incredibly supportive of all of our programs and projects here, Assemblyman David Weprin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marisa. I've been associated with this Holocaust Center even before I was an elected official. I was in the city council, got elected in 2001. I was there from 2002 through 2009. I'm happy to say that when I was in the city council, I provided the first capital funding for the Holocaust Center, and at the time, it was just like a little mini library in the basement of the administration building, and Dr. Eduardo Marti, the former president, had a vision to bring that Holocaust Center out of the basement into this beautiful building that we have here, and he really succeeded, and President Diane Call has been so supportive. She was here during Dr. Marti's term, and she was, a big part of also making the Holocaust Center a reality. And it was really a partnership between the public sector and the private sector. There was city capital money, there was state capital money, but there was also generous contributions, from donors, most notably the Kupferberg family, and that's where the name comes from, who really was so dedicated to doing this. And programs like this are terrific, and having our young people involved, and especially those that don't necessarily know that much from their family history about the Holocaust, and they're able to educate their peers and their parents and even grandparents. So this project is phenomenal. I enjoyed listening very much to that tremendous presentation. But I have a great honor to present official New York State Assembly citations. I don't know if they're all here, but I'm going to botch some of these names, I know that. But if I could just ask them to come up and accept their Assembly citation if they're here. Melissa Reinhardt. That one I got right. Maybe we just have everybody stay here, we'll do one photo. Just stay up here with your citation, Melissa. Jacques Obas. Is Jacques here?
He's in the other room.
Preparing.
Okay.
He's
He's
coming.
rehearsing. He'll be here.
Okay. We have Marie Metayar.
She's also here. She's getting changed.
Okay. You may be a solo. Midge MALIVERT.
Yes, here we go.
Oh, we got a live one. Just stay up here for a minute and hold the citation. We'll do one photo. One photo at the end. Noel Madeira Jr. Again, we have Jaco Bas. Congratulations. You just hold the citation. We're going to do a photo as soon as I finish this. We're almost there. Ella Elias? Oh, that was a presentation. That was great. And a great, you become a great artist, and a theme artist, so that's even better. We have, I probably should use my glasses for this, but we have
Janellis, I know that's a
Janellis Cintron Garcia. Congratulations. Who else we have? Jonathan Cajas. How do you pronounce the last name? Cajas. Okay, I got it right. Okay, that was good. Got something right. CRISTINA UTRERAS. And is Marie Metiar back? You want to try to see if we can get her in for the photo?
Our second art student. So he is interested in creative animation, drawing, and creative writing. And in his application to this internship, he wrote, "I feel people are never born with hate in their hearts. They learn it." And he wanted to serve as an intern here so he could learn more about the Holocaust, like many, but also because he appreciated the mission of the center and teaching others about our differences to prevent hate. He interviewed survivor Claire Leader, an artist, which was why I paired them together, and her works hang in the permanent collection of the National Museum of American Jewish History and in the Smithsonian Institute in Philadelphia. Now, Claire was unable to be here today, but Noah, would you come up and share her story with us?
Before I start this, I just want to say thank you for everyone for coming here. This really means a lot to all of us. Oh, you can't hear, I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you to every single one of you, to the survivors, to the interns who most of them I've become friends with. If I haven't, I'm sorry about that. I'm a little shy. Thank you to the parents who've come here, who've taken their time out of work or to do anything they wanted to do today. And I'll just get started now. So, Claire was just more than an artist. She was a teacher, she was a mother, and she was a wife. Claire Leader was born on August 11, 1927 in Vienna, Austria. Now, Austria was this beautiful city. It had many public buildings, churches, which was about 365 churches, one for each day of the week that she likes to joke about, and sidewalk cafes, and the sound of the Viennese waltz everywhere. Her mother was very loving. She filled her childhood with a love of nature that she would never forget. She even installed this into her children every day. Once in a while, she would take her children up into the mountains, no phones, no nothing or anything like that, and just appreciate the view. Just look at the rise of the sunset and as it falls into the ground. Now, Claire never really had a father, or not a traditional one that most people are probably used to. Her father died when she was about 2 years old, and her grandfather ended up becoming her surrogate father. And her grandfather, as in her words I'm describing right now, is he was a very wonderful man, a very kind and generous person. He was also very religious, very kind to his Christian neighbors. He didn't judge, he wasn't racist or anything like that. And every night they would teach each other the Sherman. Well, I'm sorry, not teach each other. She would teach her the Sherman, which was one Hebrew word at a time, and she still recites this nightly. Now, her whole life wasn't all about, it wasn't rainbows or sunshines or anything like that. She did experience anti-Semitism, and this is a very serious thing with her. She experienced it at the time she was going to elementary school. in front of the time, every morning, the Catholic school that she went to would recite the prayers for Jesus each morning, and the few Jewish students would just stare and gawk at them, knowing the fact that behind under their breaths of each of the Catholic children, they would call them dirty Jews, and sometimes they would say it right to her face. But Claire didn't really mind that. She took it with pride, and she kept excelling at her work. She had the highest grades of her class. She excelled at athletics. She did everything she could until one fateful night. Now, every Friday evening, they would have the Sabbath dinner. And on this one lucky night, her grandfather let her listen to the radio, which was unheard of at the time. And this was possibly the worst time to her to listen to the radio, because she heard that Hitler himself was coming to Vienna. And this one little thing, this one person, this one individual changed her whole perspective, because the next morning she saw swastikas everywhere. Swastikas when she went outside to school, swastikas when she went into the classroom. She saw German soldiers who were once thought as friends. And they're cheering this one man, this one very evil man, as they scream out saying, "Hi Hitler," because he promised something that he might deliver to a few people, but not to all. So, in the following morning, all the Christian neighbors decided to ransack her grandfather's apartment, leaving nothing behind. And the stuff that was behind were either damaged, spat on, or stepped on. And after that was happened, before she could even get the chance to even comfort her grandfather, she found out she was expelled from her elementary school because she was Jewish. She was made fun of because she was Jewish. They told lies about her because she was Jewish. And what really hurt her the most was she couldn't do any of the activities she wanted to. She could never go outside with her mother out in nature. She couldn't hang out with her friends. Her one Christian friend called Erica Chorotsky, who were together since elementary school, going on to middle school, and eventually maybe high school. But they never saw each other again. And eventually, one afternoon, when her mother was out of her apartment building, going out shopping, they put a crucifix on top of her apartment door. They locked everything. They took away all of her stuff, and there was no way she could get it back, because most of the people would say, "Oh, she was a liar." And at the time, who was going to believe the word of one person when a group of people were just agreeing with one lie? And the worst of it, that she really wanted to know, was the fact that was her parakeet okay? She had one tiny bird that she enjoyed playing with. It taught her tricks. It flew in the air. It did everything that she ever wanted to do. It was the love of her life. And to find out that it was either dead or alive devastated her. And about 1 week after that, she came down with the flu. And even worse than that, 2 Nazi soldiers banged into her door. And they were just banging, 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 saying in German, "What's the matter with her? Who's in there? I know there's, excuse my language, where are the dirty Jews?" But thanks to her luck and the fact that she was sick, the German soldiers did not touch her, but they did take her grandfather away from her and made her grandmother scrub the entire road of her sidewalk, while all of her Christian friends just gawked and looked at her without any remorse or anything like that. The people that she fed, the people that she was friends with, the people that they lived with each other for many, many years, even a few of them that grew up with her mother, ignored her and say, I don't know this person. And I never did. After that week, her grandfather was released, with the exception of the fact that the only reason you were let out, and this is told by the German's perspective, which eventually led back to her mother's ears, was we ran out of cages to put, I'm sorry again, the dirty Jews in there. So her grandfather wasted no time and no expense trying to get Claire Leader out of VNS. As much as it would hurt her mother and her grandparents, she just had to leave. She just had to leave to relatives that were in the United States of America. And and the last thing that she could remember from her mother, as she looked her directly in the eyes and said, and I quote, "I will come back for you. We will meet up in America, and we will continue living our lives as we did in Vietnamese." That wasn't until 12 years later. And eventually Claire already had her life. She was living her life. She already had a husband. She already had children by that time. But they did end up getting back together. That was the point. And what was really touching was the fact that they struggled, the fact that they were on two different corners of the globe. Her mother was trying to get out of the Viennese before Hitler could get his hands on them. She fled to Shanghai, where she spent most of her nights wondering, is Claire okay? Is she gonna be okay? Knowing the fact that Claire was doing the same thing for her. Eventually, Claire ended up going to high school and eventually to college to pursue a career in art and education. And she had a joy of it. She had a joy of teaching children. She had a joy of teaching people of all ages. She even had some of her artwork displayed, some of it still up there today. And she wants to, and in her artwork that she showed me, I wish she was here, because her artwork is just something I can't really describe with words, but only can be shown through just watching it. Was the fact that she's been through much. She's been through so much. But she doesn't consider herself a survivor. She's never been in a Holocaust camp. She's never seen Hitler at all. She's only heard stories about him, and through her imagination has imagined him as this great evil monster, which he is. But she really wanted to convey in her artwork, the little messages that most people kind of forget when she's doing her artwork, is the fact that there is hope. There is hope for the future. There is that tiny little glimmer of bright light that most people tend to forget or tend to ignore because hope is just way out of their reach. But no matter how many times I try to convince her that her story means not just to me, but to actually all of history, she couldn't really forgive herself. And to this day, she has to live with the guilt of the fact that she's never really suffered as most of the survivors have today. On that, but I don't know. But what I got from her, she was just a wonderful woman. She made me laugh when I felt nervous. She held my hand when I was writing. She gave me advice about about her artwork, and telling me that she would give me advice on how to make a living on my artwork. She even told me to go after education career because she told me she gave me a real talk and said that you can only go so far with your artwork if you're not willing to put that 100% effort into it. And she was worried for the fact that I might forget, that she might just be another name in history that I could just brush away. But I swear to you, and I swear to the people watching on these videos right now, that I will not forget. I would spread her message. I would spread her ideas. I would spread her history, her life, her past, her present, and hopefully that in the future, we can avoid something like this from ever happening again. Because nobody wants a second Holocaust. Nobody wants a World War III, and nobody wants war. Everybody wants peace. And isn't peace nice? Yeah. Sure. Well, when I was doing these pieces, there was actually 3 I was going through. And the reason why this one caught my eye the most was because I wanted something to be relatable. I didn't want just a symbol. I didn't want a person, because the Holocaust isn't defined by just one person. It's defined by a generation, a group of people, a race, and an idea. So I decided to do 2 twins. I do not know if they're alive or not. I'm really hoping that they are alive, and if they do, by some miracle, end up seeing this, because I really would love to talk to them and say about this picture. And the back picture was kind of like a cartoonish kind of vibe about it. I really want to capture the artistic style of what 2 children who are going off to the Holocaust want to remember.
Oh yeah, what's the title?
The title was I Only Saw Another Butterfly. Oh, I'm sorry. The title of the painting is I Only Saw Another Butterfly.
Oh, like the book.
Yes.
Like the book. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Our next intern is Jonathan. He is studying nursing here at Queensborough. He plans on studying nursing here at Queensborough. And like many of his fellow interns, he's actually served as an intern here before. He was part of the Asian Social Justice internship last semester. And that's when I first met him. I saw his final presentation, and I was really impressed with it. His compassion, his desire to educate others about what he had learned, and his quest to get more involved in world affairs in general. For his final project in interviewing a Comfort Woman survivor, he expressed himself by writing a beautiful poem that was entitled The Long Wait. So I very much look forward to hearing his thoughts on this experience and about interviewing a Holocaust survivor. Jonathan interviewed survivor Hanne Liebmann, who was trying really hard to get here today. She had an appointment in Manhattan in the morning, and she was really trying to race. I wouldn't be surprised if she runs in at the end, but for now, let's hear from Jonathan.
Hello, I'm very nervous. The first thing I want to say is that I'm very grateful to be here. I don't deserve to be among you guys because I feel like I don't have as much of a fervous feeling in my heart as you do. I feel very out of place. I feel like I should always put more effort into what I do. But again, I'd like to thank Marisa and the department for letting me be here, regardless of any any non-full effort I gave to this. Okay, so my survivor was Hanne, and I'm sorry she couldn't be here, but when I first met her, she was volunteering here because that's what she loves to do, and as a lot of survivors here love to do. We didn't start the interview until 10 minutes after I came because she was so focused on what she had to do here. And basically, once we sat down in this very room, she laid out a map for me. And that was the first time I started to become calm, because I knew that I would get the best explanation with this. And so she began to question me about my knowledge of the geography of Europe. And I told her that the only knowledge I knew was basically from a Tom Clancy book. And she told me that her husband loved Tom Clancy. So that was our first bonding moment. That's how I first remembered her. So this very brave woman was born on November of 2024. She was born in Germany, and around the border between France and Germany. And so she began by telling me that there were books being burned, Jewish books, of course. There were houses being raided, beds being thrown out of the window, and this reminded me of the book that Marisa gave to us called Frederick. In this book, a very brave and persevering boy tries to overcome the anti-Semitic comments that are...
There's friends for you. And he's here.
Can you sit down? I know. I'm gonna wait for Hanne.
She even sent me a letter just in case.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay. Okay, here we are.
Okay, so I was just telling them how you were born in November of 1924, and you were born in Germany, right around the border of, you grew up right around the border of France and Germany.
Right.
Okay, so as I was saying, beds were being thrown out of apartments, books were being burned, including medical books, tax books that were Jewish. And like I said before, Marisa gave us a book called Frederick, and there was this boy who tried to persevere in these harsh times. Now, things started going bad when the Nazi Party took over, and so hi, okay. Okay. So she barely had an education because the education was so limited. It was from kindergarten to 4th grade. That was elementary school, and then there was secondary school, which went from 5th to 8th grade, and that was that. And she only went to school 3 days a week, which is hardly enough for anyone. There was one summer. I gotta stop doing that. On November 10th, 1938, she began to receive these ID cards, right? Mm-hmm. Did you receive ID cards on November 10th, 1938, right? And it had thumbprints and ear prints, because apparently there were different, everyone has a different ear structure. So these were ways of identifying Jews and Germans. And please correct me if I'm wrong at any point. I want to be as accurate as possible. Okay. So it was that summer that she was being excluded from things like public swimming pools, movie theaters, things like that. And so when she came back to school, her teacher asked her to write an essay about her summer, but how could she? She didn't really have a summer. She was excluded from everything. She was very deprived of fun. So it was ridiculous, and she wrote at least 2 sentences to this teacher, and she despised this teacher, as she has told me a few times. But regardless, it wasn't fair for her to ask that. Her teacher to ask that to the students. Now, things began to decline further into her time of, well, chaos. Trains started being boarded by Jewish people, including her grandmother, and her mother. Now, she had a brother, but he was already in America because he moved to New York and he received a scholarship for a school in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, okay. And so, I'm really hungry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I just speak how I think. Okay, that's not good. And so, losing my train of thought. I know. Okay. So, she was being boarded with her family, with her 2 other relatives. First, her grandmother, which was very difficult for her grandmother because she was very, very old and she didn't have any more strength in her upper body. So she was trying to walk up the steps to the train, but she couldn't. And she was being mocked for basically being what she is, old. And I'm sorry if I'm offending. In any case. Okay. So they boarded the train and they moved all along the eastern part of France and moving towards the southern part. And they stopped at Lyon, which is right on the southeastern part of France, where the Nazis would disembark. Wait, get off the train. After that, they would move towards the concentration camp of Gurs. Gurs, I was gonna say that, I swear. But on their way there, her grandmother was suffering a lot because she was very tired, and it took them 3 days to get there. And so, while this was going on, her grandmother was very hungry, as well as the other people, because the other people were very old. Hanne was one of the few young people on this train, and so how do I explain this? Okay, 1 second. So they provided her grandmother with sleeping pills so that she would try to knock out permanently, but she didn't. She actually woke up the next morning and she had to suffer through a lot of agony and pain. So once they got to Gurs, they were separated, and Hanne was put into a barrack, which was very tight, and the conditions were very harsh. And in this camp, they only served half a pound of bread to all the people in each barrack. And this is hardly enough for anyone. But the thing is, these camps weren't that harsh. There were some good sides, but either way, it's not justifiable. And so they did. You're all familiar with the YMCA. It's actually it was actually pretty popular in these camps, and they received some yoga and other activities. There were also instruments, or quartets, I should say, that were playing in these camps as for entertainment. And she actually met her husband that way. and she would later find him in a camp. No, not a camp, a village up in Senchbon.
South Central France.
Shangbon. There we go. And later, she would find herself in a village called in a village of the Huguenots. And these were amazing people because you can never stop talking about them. They were willing to give up their own privacy for her, in a way, because they were hiding her. And most of them were farmers, and so they hid her in barns, and she had to keep moving around because she couldn't stay in one place because of the raids. And later on, in the summer of 1942, she went back to Gersh, and she found that her mother was being transported. And she found her mother, and the last conversation she had with her mother was about where she was going. But her mother didn't know. But one thing she did know, and that was that it was going to be the last time she would ever see Hanne. That alone would tear me apart. I don't know where I'd be if I lost my mother that way.
What did you learn from him? What was the thing you want to take away?
The thing is, I actually want to be able to tell about these experiences, but at a more global level. I'm going to be honest with you. I think we're failing. We're failing because it's still going on. There's a lot of persecution, and Jews alone have been persecuted for 2,000 years, and for something that they shouldn't be blamed for. And it is religious. It is. It's probably one of the greatest arguments that, one of the most famous arguments that the Germans used against the Jews in order to persecute them fully. But what I want to take from Hanne is that I need to do more with my life. Because at the age of 18, I believe, she's already accomplished so much with her life. And I mean...
She survived.
She survived, yes. She's amazing. And I told my friends that, I told at least 5 of my friends about meeting a Holocaust survivor. I don't think anyone can fathom how amazing that is. It's like they're walking textbooks. I think Marisa has said that before. And I take that to heart. This is priceless, this experience.
Jonathan, you're very young. You try. He has his whole life ahead of him, and I'm at the end. Thank you. They can hear me. You tried to comprehend what is incomprehensible.
Absolutely.
The Holocaust. You have a lot of empathy for people. You told me you would like to go into nursing, right? Right. And it's exactly what you will need in that profession. So, I wish you the very best for the future, okay? And I hope you will achieve your goals, okay?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay.
I'm okay. I leave this here with you for a minute.
All right, I'll take this. Okay. Our next intern is Jacques. He's studying health sciences here at Queensborough, and While most students are eager to learn more about the history of the Holocaust, I could tell immediately that Jacques was really excited just about interviewing and meeting a survivor. And he reminded me just how important that this program is when he said that the books do not do justice to the full story of the Holocaust, just like Jonathan had said. And he felt that interviewing local survivors will help his appalled mind try to comprehend the impact that the Jews underwent. Jacques was very quiet in all of our sessions, so I paired him with our loudest survivor, Miss Lena Gord. But I also chose her because Jacques wanted to meet someone that was musical in nature. So they have prepared something very special. Come on in.
You're all in for a surprise.
First of all, I want to say thank you.
You have closer. If I can't hear you, no one else can. So go ahead.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Marisa for. Marisa to giving me this opportunity to be in the internship, to learn more about the Holocaust, and to meet you guys here also. I had the chance to interview Lena. Born on February 14, 1930, in Salonika, Greece, Lena Kasuto-Cohen, her father and mother survived the Holocaust. As she mentioned during my wonderful interview with her, in 1931, the year after she was born, the family moved to Larissa, leaving behind her grandparents, aunts, and uncles to start a new life. Her dad becomes the chief rabbi in Larissa, also a Hebrew teacher. According to Lena, life was good. Her sister and brother both were born in Larissa. All was well in our world until the war was declared in 1940. At that time, she was 10 years old. Many people who didn't live through those terrible times do not realize that there were many more than 6 million victims of the Holocaust. If it was possible as a musician to play the sound of tears that came from their eyes, imagine how sad this melody would be. Now she is here today to entertain us. What a grateful moment. Now, I will introduce you to.
Thank you so much. I won't say anything about how I survive. Let's put it this way. Thank God for the people who helped us survive. Those were called the righteous Gentiles. There was one man that was very responsible for saving a lot of lives. The mayor of our city gave us a message that the following morning we will be deported. The trains were waiting to take us all to unknown places, which were the Holocaust, the horrible places that they went. Thank God I did not go. But one thing that I believe it was the strongest thing that we had, the faith in God that saved us, as many as He saved. My father was a rabbi. Every night he used to say, El Dios es piadoso, which means God is merciful. He will save us, and He did. And I'm here to tell the story today. In addition to that, I got a call this morning from Jack, who said, Melissa told him that I am an entertainer, and you all will experience what is an entertainer of today. I have been an opera singer. I've sung in 5 different languages, and today I'm going to sing my favorite song. I hope you all know how to clap. This song, you have to clap in order to be happy. We will end this program on a happy note by singing my favorite song, which is Never on Sunday. It's a Greek song. I come from Greece, and this is my signature song. 15 years ago, I entered a beauty contest when I was 70. I'm now 85, thank God. And this was the song that I entertained about 200 people at the time of the pageant that I entered Miss Senior America. I'm very proud to be who I am and what I am. And you should all be very proud of who you are and all the people who accomplished what we all did. I feel very accomplished and very privileged to be in America. Okay. Can this come out? Yes, it does. Okay. It would be better if I get up. Maestro. I bring my own music with me everywhere I go. I want to hire him forever. He's not only good looking, he's talented too. Okay. Should I sing it in English or in Greek? I'll do it in English first. Oh, you can kiss me on a Monday, a Monday, a Monday is very, very good. Oh, you can kiss me on a Tuesday, a Tuesday, a Tuesday. In fact, I wish you would. Oh, you can kiss me on a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday is best. But never, never on a Sunday, a Sunday, a Sunday, that's like my day of rest. Come any day, you can be my guest. Any day you say, by my day of rest. Just name the day that you like the best. Only stay away from my day of rest. Απ' το παράθυρο μου στέλνε 1, 2 και 3 και 4 πουλιά. Όταν θα μεγαλώσουν όλα να γίνουν λεβέντες για χάρη του παιδιά. Όταν θα ψάχνω δεν βρίσκω άλλο λιμάνι, τρέλη να με έχει κάνει από τον Πειραιά. Κι όταν βραδιάσει τραγούδια μαραδιάζει και στις παινιές μαράζει γεμίζει από παιδιά. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. There is one song that is in my heart, and I hope you will enjoy it as much as I enjoy singing that song. For the last 75 years. I learned that when I was 10 years old, when the Italian men were in my country before the Germans came, and they sang and they danced and they were happy people. One of the songs that most of you have heard, Connie Francis made a very famous song. It's called Mama, the Italian version of Mama. And I kept this in my repertoire ever since I was 10 years old when I began to sing. Mamma, sola perché la mia canzone vola. Mamma, non ti daremo tutti più sola, quanto ti voglio per me, questa parole d'amore, che tu sospiri nel mio cuore, che tu sospiri da più, mamma, solo perché la mia canzone la più bella sei tu la vita, sì per la vita non ti lascerei mai più. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know why I feel always so emotional when I do this song. It reminds me of my mother and all the mothers in the world. Some of you who are mothers can feel my emotions when I sing that song. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Melissa, you're on.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you all so much. So we have one final intern, Marie. She was running late because she had to take a test right before this. So she just got here, so we're going to close with Marie. She's also studying health sciences. She's in C-STEP, and she really wanted to know about the Holocaust, of course. And again, this sense of being able to connect with a Holocaust survivor was so exciting for her. And she wants to be a registered nurse. And she said how, as a registered nurse, I'll have to work with patients from different backgrounds, and that will include Jewish residents in the community. And I believe that the knowledge I can gain from this internship will help me to effectively care for those patients. And she chose, she interviewed survivor Hannah Deutsch, and I chose her because Hannah Deutsch was also a nurse. So I thought they would connect well. So, final intern. Finally here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marisa, and I conducted an interview with Miss Hannah Deutsch. I was always fascinated by the Holocaust story, and even watched some documentaries to give into my inquisitiveness what the social sciences classes that I took did not teach me. When I came to the realization that there was an internship and the Kupferberg Holocaust Resource Center here at school, I told myself that it was the perfect opportunity for me to learn about this tragedy. Mrs. Deutsch is born on July 3rd of 1922 in Gosselgorf, Germany. Just like any child, she was very happy and had fond memories with her friends until 1936, where a world and many Jews' lives shadowed before them. They were expelled from their schools, excluded from their non-Jewish friends, ostracized from any type of socialization, like the movie theaters and restaurants. What amazed me about her experience are her strength and perseverance after being separated from her mom and stepfather at 16 years old on February 3rd of 1939, where she was lucky enough to be on the kinder transport along 150 other children to London and was still able to make something of herself. After all she went through, her grandmother, who practically raised her, and some other members of her family who went to the concentration camp, the passing of her father and grandfather, and her parents' escape to Chile, all alone in another country, she managed to become a registered nurse who served in the army because she felt she owed her life to the British, dedicating her life and providing care to the wounding soldiers, which, as Marisa said, I would be doing soon. She told me that everything happened for a reason, and her motive after her survival is to tell what really happened
during those years, to appreciate her fate and to prevent such a crime, unfortunately, from ever happening again. We have to remember that regardless of ethnicity, race, religion, economical, social, age, gender, disability, or physical size, we are all unique and diverse human beings. Our knowledge about different cultures and practices greatly affect the way we treat others. I do understand that as human beings, we all have our differences and we all have our qualities. But if we could look at ourselves and understand that from within, that we are all the same, and we would be able to treat others as we want people to treat us and respect us. As I sat in this class, I perceived that the little bit that I learned about the Holocaust in high school cannot compare of what I recently learned that the Jews actually went through, especially when one is being informed by the source itself, which was Miss Sturge. I'm glad that I had this rare chance to meet her, to partake in her experience, and be able to share it with you today. After our meeting, when I left her, I reflected on what I could do to make a difference around me and the community or in other people's lives. I believe that this knowledge that I gained from this superb internship taught me the valuable gift of caring for another human being. And also, it made me realize how precious life is, as I saw how happy the survivors are for still being alive and their endurance regardless of all the disturbance that they went through. It was quite an experience and also a privilege for me to have been part of this internship. I became proficient about the Holocaust history, and I could now relate it to what I thought I knew back in school. I think that the school system do not emphasize enough about this long-standing irrational tragedy that occurred. And I believe that if people were more informed about the Holocaust and participated more in internship or any type of educational classes like this one, they could be sensitized by the abomination and be able to comprehend the emotional and psychological shock behind this affliction. Thank you.
That was wonderful. It really was. But I want to tell you about an incident in my life. We were invited to my hometown in Germany 20 years ago. And I had to think twice, do I want to go or don't I? And then I came to the conclusion, I want to go and see who survived of my congregation, not the people in the town, but what was for me. And I was allowed to take a person along, so my younger son went with me. And then I was asked when we were there if I would like to speak in the school that I used to be able to go and that I was thrown out of. And the night before, a teacher brought two girls to the hotel to speak to me. And one of them said to me, she said, "Can you tell me something? My grandmother raised me, and every time I asked her a question about this period, I never got an answer." I could have given her the answer. It was right there. They were Nazis. So then I thought, how am I going to start my speech in the school? But she gave me the answer. And when the children in the morning were sitting around me and the teachers were behind me and the press was there, it was a huge class. I looked at her and right into the eyes, because I wanted her to know that the answer was for her. I said, "None of you have to carry guilt about that period of time. This was yet generations before you. Because I had heard from people who were in Israel that these German students used to go to Israel during the summer vacation and work in the kibbutzim. And I'm sure that that class would go there too. I could see her eyes light up. I could hear from everybody. So that really was wonderful to me, that even so their families were Nazis, they were going to work against it. And I wanted you to understand that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Great, thank you. Yeah, we will. I want to thank you all so much for staying today. I know it was a long day. There was a lot of stories, but I'm just so moved, and I'm so proud of all of you. I mean, you all did beautifully, and I think it was a really great day. So thank you for coming, and congratulations.